Right, well, we're back with this NAD tape deck, and I have indeed managed to get a set of belts. Again, my thanks to mwes.co.uk. Bought them through eBay, but you can get them through their different websites, sl1210.co.uk or danset.com, or basically just go onto eBay and search for belts, and you'll see their MWES come up in the sellers thing. I bought stuff from them before, highly recommended, always good quality. So let's get on and replace those belts. So it's been tucked away whilst I've been waiting and doing lots of other jobs. So there's the old belts, the ones that remained. So there's the deck coming out. Now unfortunately, because of on this model the deck is all hardwired in, we're going to have to work on it. I think I mentioned in the earlier part of the video that it's all done like so. So we have to work on it as it is. And the other thing is about this one is that it's got multiple belts. So if we have a look on the old above cam, let's close-up cam, let's get that in view and switch to that one. And you can see that on the pulley we've got two slots in there. So we've got a smaller one which goes down to the rewind pulley down below. You just see it just there. I'll point to it with my finger under there, and the big one there for the flywheel. But we've also got a counter belt which goes from the supply spool, sorry, the take-up spool to the counter on the front. And then there's also another one which is the drive belt for the actual mechanism, and that goes onto the top end of the flywheel there. So you can just see it in there. If I point to it with my screwdriver, there's a pulley on the actual flywheel from the capstan. So we need to first off just remove this temporary screw with this, which I had put it all in place. And did I put one? No, I didn't put one on the other end. So we'll just take that mechanism away and we can get the flywheel out. Just make sure we don't lose that little plastic washer. So then we get the flywheel in a position sort of like that. Sounds like I've done one of these before. I never have. So I'm working on the basis of mechanics. They'll only go into one position. Okay, so let's get the belts out and see which belt goes where, because there's four. One very small one, which I suspect is probably that one. Yep, that's the very small one. Goes on the flywheel like that, dries the actual tape loading mechanism. Now, I may or may not have to change the pinch roller. It does look a little bit worn, but it looks like it's fairly simple to replace with a fairly standard size 13mm pinch roller, I would guess. Whilst I'm there, I've just noticed there's a big bit of muck on that head. So if you see it, fix it. That bit harder. It looks to be okay at the minute. We'll see later on if it's any worse. Let's clean the erase head while we're at it. Okay, so that's that belt changed. We've then got two belts to go there. We've got a smaller one which I think is the one that goes onto there to there. Let's just hold it in place, see if it fits. Yeah, I think it is. And then reach under there and get the capstan belt Pop that on. That's in place, so that looks right. And whilst we've got it in that position, before we put it together, I'm just going to put a little bit of silicone grease with my screwdriver onto the bearing for the capstan. Now, as I bought this untested for spares, I have no idea if this is actually going to even work in any way, shape or form. Having spent time and money doing all this, I'm hoping that it's going to be worthwhile. And one screw on there. Right, so I'm hoping that when I've got all this in, before I actually put it together, it's actually going to fire up and work. So I think we can safely just sort of rest the mechanism in that space. Let's just turn the drives. Everything seems to be driving. So let's plug it in and see what happens. Now make sure nothing's touching, because we've got a live mains fuse down here, which you would think it's not screwed in place. I wonder why that screw was taken out. Right, plugged in, power on. Power on there. We've got lights on the front. And let's try fast forward and rewind. Rewind's going. Right, so obviously fast forward is not working perfectly. Let's see what happens when we put it into play. The mechanism is loading up into play, but the take-up spool is not turning. Let's go. Yeah, now fast forward is working. Stop is this one. Let's record. But the take-up spool is not turning. Fast forward is working. This pulley here, this is where the problem is, I think. Because we're going to fast forward, which is that one. That's being driven by this gear down here. This pulley is not in contact with it. So it must be that that pulley must come into play when we go to play. It should, but this lever is obviously not reaching where it should do. So I think we're going to have to investigate why that is. Should that? See, how can that obviously, when this goes into load, yes, that makes a bit of sense. When this goes into load, this mechanism moves forward like so, and that allows that pulley to become engaged, which is your take up. So is it that this is not driving all the way home, allowing that to pull across? Because if I force it like that, it is just about making contact. So let's power it on again, put it back into play and see how far that lever gets. Yeah, it's not being up enough. That's where it should be. No. Why are we off? We lost power from somewhere. something's not engaging that should. Now I remember looking at the dry belt. The capstan belt's come off, that's why. Let's power it off. That may have been my fingers pulling the capstan belt off. Yeah. Right. Okay, capstan belt is now back on. I'll make sure I don't hold it with my finger on it there. So now, yeah, there we are. So this mechanism is not being driven hard enough to get into play. And if you notice, I should have noticed that as well, that the pinch roller wasn't fully engaging either. Yeah. Right, we are back with this NAD tape deck, and the last time we looked at this we said we were going to have a look because it's not fully engaging the plate that drives it into play mode. Working on this is a little bit awkward, so I've decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to desolder all the wires so I can work on the mechanism out of here, because I found it's just so, I mean, we're stuck with a little short wire there we can't do. Could undo perhaps one or two and then try and work on it, but it's just as going to be just as easy, take them all off. I had a thought last night that I might just sort of cut all the wires and put a little connector on and make a joint of whatever, because I can easily make connectors and so on, but there's so many of them, might as well just unsolder them and solder it back when I'm finished. Anyway, let's go on with it. I've marked up all the places where it's going to be, so I'll get on with this, come back to you after I've done that. Okay, having got the tape deck out, it's time to strip it back down again and check out the gears under here, which we suspect is failing. I'll try and keep the cameras, I've now set up this close-up cam to be fixed, so I don't want it too much in the way of what I'm doing, so if it wanders on and out, in and out of the shot, then I apologize profusely, but I'm hoping that this will give you a better close-up. I've got the overhead camera as well, so hopefully now we've got 4 cameras running. I do love OBS, I think it's great. I've just discovered the multi-view. All this time I've been using OBS and I've never noticed this multi-view. Never, obviously, typical man, didn't read the instruction manual. If I'd have read the instruction manual, I would have realised there was a multi-view, and that makes switching between scenes so much easier. I built a Pico switch box to emulate a keyboard, plugged into it. Totally unnecessary. With the multi-view, it does it for you. And if I had a spare screen with touch control on it, I'd just be able to touch it, but it's just as easy to move with a mouse. I've always got the keyboard as a backup anyway, so I'm just clearing some more of this dreaded rubber left over. I think I'm going to clip that. Get rid of that, because that's just stopping me getting this wire clean and allowing me to spread more of the gunk about. Just gets bloody everywhere. Oh, bleep, bleep. Right. Oh, that's where I wrote on one of the cables. Tell you what, it might even be easier if I get rid of this cable tie here as well. Then I can have a little bit more freedom. Oh, and there's some more gunk on the wire there. Oh God, as I said, it just gets everywhere. Right, hopefully that's as much as we need to get rid of. Take the pinch roll off. I've already taken the little plastic circlip off the other day when I was working on it, so I can put that to one side with that dry belt. Now this is the gear. It says, frantically trying to get it in shot, so that when that gear works, that engages different parts of the functionality. This one does the same thing, and that's the one that pulls the tray, not the tray, the do you know what, I think I'm just going to temporarily save this getting in the way. I'm just going to disconnect this motor from there. It's just one less thing to get in the way while I'm moving it about. There we are, that's better. So this gear here, when you turn it round, that's the one that engages and brings the mechanism into play, and that's the position where it should go, but it's not going fully because it's not engaging up all the way up to there. Now, is that because something's bent? I mean, the gear is actually turning quite freely. Is it that? In there, that's the pin on this bar which is moving up. Is that the pin that moves it all the way up? Or does something else take over? Crank that gear. Crank the gear up. See, it should go up there further, so that pin is this. What's that? What's that? That's just got, oh, a little U-shaped, like a washer. That's just fallen out from the mechanism. So I wonder what that does. See, it looks like that's not going fully up that way. Okay, let's put those belts over there for now. Let's put that in my little tray with the other washer. Just there. Let's take, tell you what, let's bring that camera around there like that. I think that's going to be better. Looks to me in focus. Let me just quickly switch to it and check. Yeah, it's in focus. Okay, so to get this gear off, we need a circlip there and a circlip there. Pair of tweezers if we need to grab it, and a watchmaker's screwdriver, very fine, to pop it in there and just twist. And there it is. So that lever comes up there. Is it on a that's on a spring. So can we take the spring off? Yeah, tweezers. Oh, just realised we've got some gunk on there. On those tweezers. Yuck, yuck, yuck. It should be easier to take the pin off with the spring rather than trying to stretch the spring over the clip. There we are. And then we've got another circlip off there. It's the same size. That's that gear. So the cam part of that is okay by the look of it. Oh, think something just dropped. Was that a circuit? Not a circuit, not a circuit, a washer I meant. Okay, might not have been. Might be just me hearing. Let's clean that off. I'll replace this. So that goes, that pulls that one. And that's still not pulling it. Oh. That's just the brake, so it is releasing the brake. So yeah, it doesn't seem to be going up far enough. Certainly not engaging the pinch roller. That lever, if I push the plate up, you can see, if I push the plate up manually and work the lever from underneath, it's not got enough to do it. And that's just, is that a spring? Ah, there's a spring there, that. It's almost as if, is that spring meant to, see, that spring doesn't seem to do anything. In fact, actually, it looks like I wonder if that spring has come out from underneath, or whether it's broken. Because that spring does not seem to do anything. There. I think it should be underneath that. And it should be giving it leverage to push the mechanism further up. Looking at the manual, you can see on here that the spring is just here. I hope you can see my cursor. It's not particularly great on this, but there is a spring. That's the spring I'm thinking about, that sits underneath this deck, and it looks right, but I think it should be a lot further down. I think that spring is in the wrong place. So I think what I'm going to do, and I've got nothing to lose, is basically to take this part out and put that spring. I think it should be underneath there. I think it should be holding that a lot further down. It's either slipped, or this part of the plastic has broken, or somebody's pushed it too hard and it's jammed it and it's just got caught. Maybe even somebody else has been in here a long time ago and gave up with it. Who knows? But it means taking this whole plate out. Now, luckily, I think the heads are mounted on this plastic plate and I can take it out without disturbing the azimuth. But I've got to get the controls out of the way, I think. And it does show 2 screws for that control plate. Now, one of the screws is this one for the erase head, and it's very difficult to get at that there. Perhaps take the controls lever plate off. Is that feasible? Yes, it is. Yeah, the actual control lever plate is held in place by that screw and that screw there. So if we take those 2 out, that'll fall out in a minute. so. And it will give me a chance to get rid of this gunk that's in there anyway. Look at that. Look at all that gunk in there. Oh, yuckity, yuckity, yuck. Anyway, I'll give that a better clean bit later on. Let's get on to the important thing. That's the screws for that plate. Now, there's one screw there that holds the head on. This is loose. This screw is actually loose. I didn't have to turn it hard at all. According to the manual, the other one is the screw that goes through there. That's loose as well, and that should be a nice long screw, and that should release the whole head. Nope, it's the other erase head screw as well. Yeah, something just... Ah, there's a spring. There it is. Let's put that to there. Okay, I think maybe I have got to undo. Yeah, looks like the actual record playback head screws go through there as well. Matters not. Azimuth adjustment's easy. If you've got a test tape with a signal on it, there you go. And then we should be able to, if I release that cable tie as well, we can take the heads out of the way for now. Oh, and another one. That, I think, is a shim for adjusting the heads. So I'll put that in with that. So there's that spring. And I think that spring, if we bring our heads plate back again, actually let's take the heads off this plate. It's held in, the wires are held in by a little clip, which you should be able to gently tease apart to get the wires out. Record head. And spring. Yeah, you see that's where that spring goes there. And I think it should be in there. And that's what's happened. Look, I can see it's actually fractured. That wasn't me doing it. This bit of plastic is fractured. There's your problem. There's your problem. So there's the problem. What's happened is that's fractured there. That bit of plastic's fractured, and consequently that spring, which should be sat in there like that, just comes out like that. So therefore there's no tension on there to push the heads up into place. So that's what we've got to do. Now, that's item 51, and the service manuals, there it is, item 51 there. Do you think we can find one of them? No. Do you think we can find any spare parts for NAD? I doubt it. But I'll have to have a look. If not, I'm going to have to see what I can do about gluing, welding, putting that back together. Because it ain't going to work properly without that being fixed. It might be you've got to mix up some araldite into there to fix that. Not looking forward to that. Could I put that in there and then put araldite in all there so it's held in place? That's a possibility. Could do that. Right, I'll see what I can do about finding a spare part first. What looked like a fairly simple repair has actually turned into a little bit more complicated, but we'll get there. I'll be back in a bit.